So this is Jackie, and welcome to my ballpark. And for those of you who are just starting the training with me, you may not know the ballpark theory. So we'll start there. This is a very shortened version of a longer story, and it's a framework for living your life. Imagine, well, the heck with it. Just know you live in a ballpark. You live in multiple ballparks, and sometimes you're the club owner and sometimes you're the ball player. If you're the ball player coming into a ballpark, which is how I first heard this story, this young ball player's coming in and he's all wide-eyed and he's excited. He's going to the show. He's going to play for the Atlanta Braves. And he's wandering around the ballpark and he sees God. It's the club owner. Club owner invites him into his office. It's the only way to keep the young man from shaking his arm off. He's so happy and excited. So the club owner says, son, sit down. We'll get better acquainted. We'll chat. That poor kid, he was so excited. He could not get his assets to stay in the chair. So the club owner hands him a couple of pieces of paper and says, son, why don't you read these and then we'll talk. These are the rules of the ballpark. And the kid's like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'm going to read these. We're going to be fast friends. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And he starts reading, and he starts settling down. And by the time he gets to the bottom of that second page, he's got this kind of wrinkle in his forehead, and he looks at the club owner, and he goes, I don't like some of these rules. And the club owner says, son, you have three choices. You can accept the rules of the ballpark without conflict. Play ball, make money, have fun. That's option one. Option two, you can adhere to the rules of the ballpark with conflict. You can argue with me about them. You can struggle to get to practice on time. You will still play ball. You might even make decent money, but you won't have fun. That's option two. And option three, you can get out of my ballpark. Woo! So the kid figures out pretty quickly that he gets to choose. Now, he came into the major leagues because he wanted to play ball, make money, have fun. So he chose option one, and that was easy. Most of us haven't started at the top. So here's your first question. When it comes to the ballpark theory, your first question is always, whose ballpark am I in? You have to know that before you know anything else. Whose ballpark am I in? Who makes the rules? If it's my ballpark, I'm the club owner. And ladies and gentlemen, the club owner has responsibilities. Just like the ball player has options, the club owner has responsibilities. The rules, are they written down? Are they communicated clearly? Are they applied equitably? Those are the first three. Are they written down, communicated clearly, and applied equitably? Equitably, not equally, because we don't expect the same thing of a 12-year-old that we do of a 2-year-old. I hope. Same thing goes with management and with clients. We don't expect the same accountability with somebody who's showing up for a free session as we do with somebody who's paid us $10,000 for a session. It would be nice if we could realistically expect the same response from people, but let's face it, we're dealing with human beings. These are round objects hitting round objects, and how much skin they have in the game makes a difference. Skin in the game is how club owners work with ball players. Club owners understand that ball players have a lot of skin in the game. This kid had worked his whole life to go to the major leagues. The club owner had leverage. When it comes to your business, you may not know where your leverage is, especially when it comes to your clients or when it comes to the other people in your world. And for those who are showing up a few minutes late, don't worry, it's all being recorded. So we're working on the ballpark theory. And we're talking about where you're the club owner. And are your rules written down, communicated clearly, and applied equitably? The applied equitably is important. Everybody needs to know what you expect of them, and you need to know what they expect of you. So I'm going to talk to you all from the point of view of club owners for the moment. We'll come back to being ball players. But right now, club owners. Club owners have those 3 responsibilities, and then club owners have something extra. You have to be willing. And this is the toughie. You have to be willing for your ball players to take option 3 and leave. You have to be willing for ball players to take option 2 and argue. And just smile and let them argue. As long as they're adhering to the rules, that's the important part. But the challenging part as a club owner is to let people leave, whether it's our employees or our children or our co-workers or our business partners. Oh my God. So that's the where we're starting, is with the ballpark theory and being club owners. And I'm going to take you to the story of the accidental entrepreneurs. This may never have happened to you, but just in case it has, I want you to know that it's not your fault. You start a business venture because you have a business partner and they are very enthusiastic and the lines are clearly defined. You know whose ballpark it is. You know who's going to handle the money and who's going to handle the operations. And there's no ambiguity. There's nothing fuzzy about this. And this is where one of my clients was when I met her, was about 3 months further down the road. And her husband and her business partner had started a vineyard, a tasting room in downtown Sarasota. And it's a lovely little spot. I absolutely love it. The challenge is that 3 months in, their franchisor broke their agreement. They had to get out of the franchise, and their business partner left. Now, the partner who left was the one who was responsible for operations, the day-to-day. So now my clients are medical. He's an optometrist. She's a pediatric critical care nurse doing on-call, doing day work with kids who can't go to daycare because they've got IVs and all of this stuff. They are medical by day, and now they are restaurateurs by night. Because even though it was a, quote, partnership, the other guy was a ball player. He was not a club owner. How do we know? He did not have money invested. He didn't have any skin in the game. This is the biggest business challenge that occurs in our world, is where we have business partners, but not everyone has equal responsibility. I mean, let's face it. Something goes wrong at the ballpark, it's not the ball player who's in trouble. It is the club owner. You know, it's the people who own this. So if you're going to own your business, become the club owner. Realize you have 3 responsibilities and 1 willingness. The first one's the toughie. So we're going to get there today. That's the skills part of our training today, is what emotional state do you need to be in to be an effective club owner? So that's the end of this part of the training. This is how the ballpark theory applies to your world as you know it. Oh, and there are probably going to be lots of places where you're the ball player. So please remember, when you're the ball player, you got 3 choices. Accept, adhere, get out. Do not get out until you can accept. Because if you get out while you're in this place of struggle, while you're still arguing with the rules of the ballpark, while you're giving the club owner a hard time, you're struggling to show up to practice, all of those things that come up with option 2, if you get out of the ballpark while you're still in option 2 and in struggle, you'll carry that energy signature with you. into your next relationship, your next business partnership, your next business ownership even. And if you carry that kind of struggle, guess who you're going to attract? If you go from being a ball player to a club owner because you're going from being an employee to now you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, you're going to attract employees who do what? Argue with you, struggle with you, adhere with conflict. So better to stay where you are until you can come to that place of acceptance. And we'll come back to acceptance at the end of the skills training that comes up next. So I'm going to stop this recording and start it again.